We'll get you back to Oakland as we continue on the road.
Loyola will start the game with the ball, start the half with the ball out of bounds.
Clark never looks any different, whether he's up 20 or struggling.
Walker, Steamer, Kimble, Fryer, and Knight.
Start out in the zone. Tony Walker's got to get something penetrating down inside.
Kimble's three opened the second half.
30, Kimble.
The other end, it is Hunt. Rebound, Steamer. Off to Kimble. Two in a row for Bo Kimble to start the second half. He knocks 6 off that 20-point lead.
Brenny just glides out there with that jump shot. Never looks like he's in a hurry.
He's 6 of 6 from three-point range in this game so far. Augman, Anthony, Hunt, Butler, and Johnson.
Kimble's on Anthony. Is on Stacey Augman. He is not worried about it. Which is unusual with Stacey having 25 points in the first half. But Bo was trying to help out on Larry Johnson.
Butler had that field goal. Kimble should keep it out of three-point range. Now it's
too close.
Hunt's three, and Johnson. Defensively, Knight came in quickly to help out. Walker regains control, and now it's Kimble firing, and that's his first miss from three-point range. And Butler, who celebrates every rebound, and it's an offensive foul on Butler.
Chris Knight down. Kimble on that long jumper. Great hands again by Johnson. Knight stays right with him and then gets bowled over.
And they are tending tonight at the free throw line. In watching Larry Johnson and Per Steamer go at it on the glass, if we think back to the regional semifinal, Steamer was able to pull rebounds away from Alabama. He has not been able to accomplish that against Johnson.
I would agree, Brent, because you're talking about one of the strongest pair of hands and one of the softest pair of hands I've ever seen on a player of his age. And normally a guy who has hands of that strong, he has a hard time catching the ball.
Now with Knight sitting down and he goes at 6'9", Tom Peabody comes in at 6'3". Kimble snaps off a deuce.
Expect Jerry Tarkanian to go back to some man-to-man. Needs a little bit more pressure on Bo Kimble.
He has one, too, in Augman, who can be the answer. Here's Hunt. Firing, and Butler coming in. Fouled Peabody on the rebound. Number 3 on Butler.
Peabody giving up about 4 or 5 inches on that play and still gets in position to rebound.
A positive start for the Lions here in the second half.
Plain 2-3 zone, not the amoeba.
Bad pass. Augman comes up with it. Johnson got the roll. 10 points for Larry Johnson. Kimble was tripped. They called traveling.
Got his feet tied up. Everybody expecting to pull up for the jumper. He can put it into overdrive when he puts that ball on the floor. Much quicker than he looks.
Augman goes down. No traveling.
Notice, Bo Kimble playing Stacey Augman. Kind of lets him go so he can help out on Larry Johnson.
Off Fryer.
That could be number 4 on Butler.
It is number 4.
Again, the long rebound, Brent, that you see so often in this type of game. Jerry Tarkanian will have to put Butler down, bring Scurry back in right now. But it's tough for those big fellas to get over there and take advantage of the long rebounds.
3 fouls on Butler here in the early going in the second half. and Moses Scurry checks in. Now in the first half, it was Loyola Marymount getting into early foul trouble. Here in the second half, 3 team fouls against Vegas and none against Loyola as Fryer hits the 3-point shot.
He was only 3 for 14 in the first half, had been burning up in this tournament. Now it looks like he's getting that stroke back.
Augman coming into the paint, 27 points, his first field goal of the second half. Deflected to Fryer, back to Lowry, snaps it off to Kimble, who was not expecting the pass. And he is fouled as he comes up with the shot. Augman caught him in the facial area, and Kimble is shaken up.
We saw Lindsey Howell, the great player from Arkansas, one of the outstanding role players in college basketball, get hit in the eye yesterday. Same type of play here. Kimble does the smart thing, puts the ball up as if he was in the shooting motion, and sent him to the line with 2.
You know, that was Hunt on that replay, who raked a hand across his face inadvertently.
Oh, he was in. Yeah, they're going to have him too. And Brent, I go back to Arkansas playing UNLV on CBS earlier this year, and they looked then like a Final Four team. Nolan Richardson Club may be blessed with some of the finest sophomores in the country. They proved they could play that night on the road.
And Lindsey Howell had a blackened eye yesterday and stepped to the line and hit a couple of big free throws. Now it is Bo Kimble, and Hunt apologized to him.
Well, Ron Hury stepped up, had to come off the bench cold and hit those big free throws yesterday. A tremendous accomplishment for a young man that had some problems off the court prior to this year.
Bo makes both of them. Now he has 26 for the game. And here comes the press. Johnson has been very slick at helping out. Then they get it into Augman's hands, and he comes into the paint for 29. They go the distance against that full court press. Lowry goes all the way. Augman off of the rebound. Hunt on the breakout.
Anderson Hunt will just take that ball to anybody. The Steamer not really a shot blocker, more of a position defender, but still, he went right by him. Bad pass.
Intercepted Anthony. Here's Hunt again. Has Scurry on his right. Scurry misses, and it's Kimble. Drives with that shoulder. Wanted Steamer. Showed good hands and stayed with it. Long pass now. No, there goes the human bruise with a dive, and it was Anderson coming up with the field goal.
I realize that Scurry's having the big game, the huge game, but really Anderson Hunt's the guy setting the stage for UNLV, hitting those jumpers.
Here's our man, Tom Peabody.
Dives, gives you every effort you could ask from a player. Safe at second.
Not far from Ricky Henderson. Demonstrates that slide into second base. We're only a long foul ball away from the Oakland A's arena. We'll be right back. Well, the women's championship out of Knoxville, Tennessee next Sunday. In the semifinals, it'll be Stanford against Virginia and Louisiana Tech taking on Auburn. And here in the San Francisco Bay Area, they're very excited about that performance by the Stanford women. Here it is UNLV, which has led it all the way, coming up with the ball and missing a shot, and it is Bo Kimble who has scored 26. This is Fryer, and he hits another 3, and now he has 16.
You know, Brent, Kimble being the nation's leading scorer, very unselfish player. And he'll hit ahead. He'll hit that first 3 man.
Johnson inside. Still no answer for that little turnaround from the low blocks by the Loyola Marymount defense, which is giving up so much bulk and size.
Well, we haven't seen many people around the college game have an answer for Larry Johnson on the low blocks. He's tough.
Well, Ball State held him scoreless for 18 minutes the other night. And Kimble zips another 3. He's only missed 1 here today. He scored 29 points. He's hit 7 from three-point land. Hunt says, I can do that.
Well, if that part of the UNLV game continues to hit on all cylinders, they are so tough to handle because it really extends the defense. When I go back to the Arkansas-Little Rock game in the opener for UNLV, the game was maybe too easy for an opener. They kind of lost their concentration. They obviously have it back in this game.
Loyola Marymount has whittled 6 points off that 20-point halftime deficit. 14 minutes to go about.
Problem here, we're not seeing that aggressive defense by Loyola Marymount when Larry Johnson getting a little rest now.
And it's Augman picking up the loose ball. And now he has scored 31 points this afternoon. Lowry, great block by Hunt. Came from nowhere. Knocked that one down. Anthony the other way, and he goes down, and how's that jaw?
Well, he used his hands to break his fall instead of his chin. I'm sure that Greg learned his lesson. You'll see this block. Can Anderson Hunt get off the floor in a hurry? Sensational timing. Go down to the other end. Scott trying to draw the charge. I'll be honest with you, I thought he had pretty good position. I was surprised Anthony didn't pull up.
Anthony in the line, shooting 1.
A magnificent performance here today by the UNLV guards.
Subtle little change by Jerry Tarkanian again, taking everybody off the foul line so his guys can rest back on the other end of the floor.
Lowry with the fake, fires the three, push, and it's Johnson underneath. And Loyola Marymount picks up the foul.
Just too strong, Brent. Knight was in there with him, had decent body, but he just got him out of the way.
That's 11 rebounds for Johnson in this game. Traveling, no basket.
Well, Brendan, the first meeting, Larry Johnson had 16 rebounds, and he didn't have Butler to help him.
Kimble with a good driving move that time, and now he's scored 31 points. UNLV ball out of bounds.
I get the feeling now that the run that we normally see from Loyola Marymount has been worn down. The fact that there's just so much power inside, and UNLV used to this kind of 100-point tempo is not being effective.
Billy, certainly in human terms, the Hank Gathers loss was an enormous tragedy for everyone associated with this game. From a basketball standpoint here today, this is the kind of a game where they really miss their fallen leader. Obviously, you don't talk about someone who's dying in terms of basketball, but Hank Gathers was the kind of player who stood up in games. He'd hit the glass, and he would really be able to help out.
Well, obviously, would have given him strength inside, where Steamer could have been the second man instead of the first.
The three, and that is 19 points for Anderson Hunt out of Detroit, Michigan. Turn it over, and here's Hunt. Lost the dribble. Kimble's got it back. Hunt will go to him. 33 now for Kimble. Kimble doesn't quit, does he? And he committed the personal foul. Not happy with it. That's number 3. He had 2 early, and he's gone a long time without number 3. And when you come back, Jeff Fryer will check with Billy Packer. I'm Brett Musburger. We welcome all of you to the Final Four next Saturday in Denver. Our pregame activities will begin at 5 o'clock Eastern time, and then the first game, Duke, Arkansas, about 45 minutes after that. Billy, how do you look at that showdown?
Well, I'll tell you, both teams blessed with outstanding talent, or they wouldn't even be there. I'm interested to see Mayberry-Hurley match up. That'll be outstanding. Day and Henderson, 2 players playing extremely well. And I think it'll be also important is how is Bricky's leg? I mean, is he going to be 100%? Because they'll certainly need his athleticism against an Arkansas club to play against a Lindsey Howell.
Kimble misfiring, and Johnson off with a rebound. UNLV trying to advance. They would play Georgia Tech in the second game as Walker commits the foul. You know, with Cianovich, out here for the Running Rebs. When you think about it, we've got 11:45 to go, and Loyola Marymount has played its heart out here in the second half, and yet they look at that scoreboard and they have not picked up a point. They find themselves still down by 20, and it is starting to wear on. Stanovich up into the corner, and Hunt, who has had a huge afternoon, misfiring. Steamer is off with the ball. Offensive foul on Bo Kimble, number 4.
Brent, it's really not so much what Loyola Marymount is not doing, it's what Vegas is doing. Playing almost the perfect basketball game on both ends of the floor. They got the perimeter shooting going well. Stacey Augman finishing off on the break. Johnson just too strong inside.
Augman would have had a driving attempt that time, except the pass was a little bit too far out in front of him. Stanovich now running the floor. Jones, 34, out here with Augman. Johnson still out there, and Hunt handling the ball. So several of the regulars, most notably Anthony, being rested.
They should not try to feed Johnson with Augman because Kimble's inside. That's the man to feed him with.
So Anderson Hunt hits another 3 for the game. That's his 4th.
Bo's trying to do too much right now. He sees the game and his college career kind of slip out of here.
Fryer, Peabody goes up, and somehow Jeff Fryer comes away with it. Kimble, short, long rebound, and it's Hunt coming out. Johnson's on his left.
Technical on Bo Kimble, and Brent, he started to get frustrated the other night, and it's continuing. And you know, in fairness to Bo, there has been so much pressure on him over the last week in regard to media attention, questions to be asked, and you know it has taken away some of his concentration. Very frustrated now. Both this man took a team to a world championship and had hoped to go to a Final Four. And Bo Kimble, the nation's leading scorer.
The sound of this monster dunk reverberated all the way to Denver, Colorado.
Well, a beautiful pass, and of course that's 2-on-1 breaking Vegas style. We don't look for the three-point shot when you've got a chance to finish off with Larry Johnson or Stacey Augman. And for Anderson Hunt, 22 points, 12 assists. And just think of it, he started the NCAA tournament this year 1 for 13 in his outside shooting.
Larry Johnson grew up in Tyler, Texas, as Hunt shoots the technical, which was called on Bo Kimble, the first. You might remember another athlete out of Tyler, Texas, a fellow by the name of Earl Campbell.
Might have had a little bigger thighs than Larry Johnson, but not much bigger upstairs.
Came out of junior college, and his first year there, he was selected as the newcomer of the year in college basketball, period.
Obviously a first-team All-American selection.
First consensus All-American in the history of Las Vegas, and he has showed you why all season long. He's just a fine player.
Oh, Westhead deciding to play tough perimeter defense. What got him over the hump against Alabama the other night. There's just too many warriors against him.
Just inside of 10 minutes, and UNLV has scored 102 points already. Fryer. And Augman hit by Peabody. Peabody fouling him.
There's a case on both ends. Just not enough in regard to size. Peabody was posted up down inside by Johnson just before that play, and then he has to go down on the defensive end and just not big enough, strong enough, or quick enough to handle Stacey Augman.
UNLV shooting the bonus now the rest of the way. There is the critical difference on the inside. Loyola Marymount just did not have the ball to match up. And so I'm sure that there are some folks who know an awful lot about basketball who are saying, and you couldn't disagree today, that Jerry Tarkanian would never lose to a system like this with Loyola Marymount. I think the key thing to remember is I'm not sure that Loyola Marymount would have gotten nearly this far without this system. Yeah, it's overmatched here today. But if I was a young high school coach, Billy, would you think about this?
Oh, I think it is a game of the future for a lot of people to play. And when you really think about it, the guy that really started it on the college level in the Final Four was Jerry Tarkanian back in '77 with that great team he had.
Hunt continues to blaze away.
Unfortunately, in '77 for him, there was no three-point shot or shot clock. North Carolina beat him using the four corners a little bit.
Fire missing. Johnson is off, and here comes Hunt again. 27 points for Anderson Hunt, who was in a slump, somebody said. Boy, did he break out.
Well, if you have to think about this game from the outset, it was Anderson Hunt that showed he was going to have a big game with his jumpers from the outside right at the beginning. And this is the second time today that I can remember, maybe the third, where he has taken it all the way to dunk one on the fast break. And remember the great block he had on the defensive end against Lowry.
With Billy Packer, I'm Brent Musburger. A nice round of applause for Larry Johnson, who has been one of the Warriors here this afternoon in the West Regional Final in Oakland, California. And UNLV now closing in on that final spot open at the big party. It'll be Duke and Arkansas in game one, followed by Georgia Tech against the winner of this game. And in all likelihood now, barring a miracle, it will be UNLV. 18 points and 15 rebounds for Johnson, who sat down. Augman on the pull-up. Moses Scurry coming back with two more. That's his second field goal of the game. And Kimble has it swatted away by Scurry, and now it's Augman racing Peabody.
Oh, held it back. Beautiful.
Scurry with an offensive rebound and a putback.
You can see Scurry is fresh. Everybody else down a notch.
And Lowry, who's had a fine game, especially in the first half. That's 18 points for Lowry.
You know, Brent, looking ahead a little bit, Duke, 3 straight years to the Final Four, nowhere near the record. UCLA, 10 straight years to the Final Four. Cincinnati, in that great run they had back in the early 60s, went 5 in a row. But in this day and age, tough to do to even come back 2 years in a row.
And the foul is against Peabody. You know, there's one person, in fact, there are two across the way we certainly want to thank for a lot of help. A couple members of the NCAA basketball committee who have great basketball and in one case track reputations of their own. Dave Maggart, the athletic director over at the University of California, directly across from me, a member of the committee who helped organize this regional final, seated next to Gary Cunningham over there, who is the former head basketball coach down at UCLA. And coming in here to the Oakland Coliseum, Billy, this would be a fine sight for some future regional finals. They've done a splendid job.
I would agree. You know, Gary Cunningham was on the first club that John Wooden took to a Final Four way back in 1962. Who would have ever dreamed at that point that Coach Wooden would take so many more?
Gary's second free throw, also good for UNLV, 33.
7:45 for the game.
Placing Larry Johnson.
Turn it over. Lead to Hunt. Back now to Young, who's coming down, and they turned it over on the travel.
Well, they can sense the victory here, and Paul Westhead said if Larry Johnson gets 40, he'll have a tired 40. Fortunately for Jerry Tarkanian, that wasn't necessary because of the outstanding play of his guards.
Misfiring. And the foul going to go against Vegas on the inside that time.
John O'Connell putting it back up, getting a little bit of playing time here.
As Johnson comes back in, one of the things we can start speculating about, and how many reams of copy do you think will be written on this subject? The altitude. that we'll be playing at. And of course, everyone will say, doesn't bother you, doesn't affect you. We'll go in, we'll play our game. A lot in the mind. But if you talk to many of the professional athletes, Billy, who've come through there, it is real.
Well, I talked to Dean Smith about it. He took his club up in for 2 quick games this year, and he said if you don't have time to get acclimated, it really affects you. And obviously, it affected him in one game, particularly losing to Colorado State. And now Loyola Marymount's got to take a lot of chances, and in doing so, they leave themselves open for some easy baskets inside. There's one.
So Johnson with 20 points for the day, and a 116-80 lead, and 7 minutes to go here against the Lions.
You know, Brett, I don't think I've ever seen Larry Johnson fumble a pass that was thrown anywhere near being catchable. He just has great hands. Maybe the best part of his game.
Such a great rebounder, Billy, and right now Vegas has 46 rebounds to Loyola Marymount's 21. Kimble, Knight couldn't get a grasp on it, and Johnson with the outlet to Hunt. It's 3-on-1. Butler over to Anthony.
Brett, you're talking about rebounds. In the first game they played each other, rebounds were almost even, almost exactly even.
Kimble coming away. And still another rebound for Johnson.
Oh, nice tap.
Kicked out. UNLV ball at the 6:21 mark.
What Jerry Tarkanian has to do now, again, just like in that Arkansas Little Rocky, he doesn't want to say, hey, this game is over, but he wants to keep the concentration level high. They really peaked for this game, and Lois even starting to back off a little bit.
Anthony, Johnson, Hunt, Butler with 4 fouls, and Young on the floor right now for Jerry Tarkanian, who is bringing some seconds down on the clock.
Setting up a one-on-one situation.
Has this one in hand. Interesting, you mentioned that team back in the 70s, Billy. And one of Jerry Tarkanian's, he set the scoring record for an average, and it wasn't broken until Loyola Marymount did it last year, and then they rebroke it this year, averaging 125 points a game, and it doesn't look like they're going to get their average here today, and Alabama held them under that too, as the foul is against Anthony.
Well, you know, one of the marks that they got being the running revs was because of the high scoring, but what made that team so great, and what Jerry never got credit for until recent years, is the fact that they played great pressure defense. I think he's one of the great individual man-to-man defensive coaches in the country, and without question, and I've said this before, when you go to his practices, they drill harder on individual defense with drills than anybody in the United States.
Butler.
It's that karate scream. Butler, Scurry uses it as well. Spreading things out, using the clock. The object is to win the game. So Tark taking a page out of the Al McGuire philosophy. Forget about being pretty at this point. Just win the game and go home.
It's 3 an air ball.
That was a lack of concentration.
He traveled.
And he may be coming out. And Jerry wants him to remember how they played this game to get the lead, not how they're playing it the last few minutes.
Question about Big Larry Johnson, Billy. Do you think he eats plenty of broccoli?
I gave you that one the other night. I don't know, but whatever it is, he's a strong young fella. Well, you were talking about his boxing career, seeing if we could get some films on him when he was a youngster. I want to see some of the other guys.
James Jones, 34.
Bites Zianovich. Check into the game. Stolen by Knight.
Brett, in the first meeting between these two teams, to tell you how things have changed, Knight did not score, did not have anything statistically on the board. I think he's going to be a fine young player. Showed some real talent there with a roundhouse dunk. Got to put some weight on.
Walker, Kimble.
Good steal by Tony Walker.
Now he's at 35, the nation's scoring leader.
Have to go back to Frank Selby and Darrell Floyd at Furman. Be the last guys back-to-back from the same school to win a national scoring championship.
So next Saturday, 5 Eastern time. And then the Final Four. First game, Arkansas against Duke, followed by Georgia Tech against, in all likelihood, UNLV. The Final Four next weekend will be coming your way from McNichols Arena in Denver, Colorado. We look forward to that, and we hope you'll join us. We'll be right back here. On your left, that is Valerie Pita. And so many of you remember her from her days as a cheerleader for UNLV, and she's been battling cancer as she was her senior year at Las Vegas, undergoing treatment. She's the honorary coach of the Runnin' Rebs, and it's always a delight to see her. She's got just an unsinkable spirit about her, and the reason why we're shooting this is a technical on the bench. Billy, is that
on Paul Westhead? But this is the foul that was committed earlier.
Paul Westhead.
Oh, this is the foul that was committed earlier.
Oh, I see.
This is the 1-1.
I was confused. I didn't realize that they were getting ready to shoot up at the other line. That's why they had pulled them off.
And he is replaced by 21, Jeff Fry.
Travis Bice going to go to the line.
13, Travis Bice will shoot the 2 free throws on the technical.
You know, Brent, as a little trivia, I talked about Darrell Floyd and Frank Selby of Furman being the last guys before Hank Gathers and Bo Kimble won national scoring titles. It's interesting looking back. There are only 3 schools in the United States that have had 2 men lead the nation in scoring. The other school besides Furman and now Loyola Marymount was South Carolina, with Grady Wallace and Zam Frederick in the history of the game. Well, I give Fry a lot of credit. Look at the pressure they're putting here. Even though they're down and out, they're not quitting at all.
That was Jones. The only starter on the floor for UNLV is Butler right now. Kimble gets it back. Boy, he's got some shot.
He is not only a shooter, he's a scorer. He can do both. Not many can.
37 points for both. Tapped in by Knight. I'll give you some point totals for some of those starters who are off the floor for UNLV. Augman with 33 and 11 rebounds. Hunt with 27 and 13 assists. Johnson with 20 points and 18 rebounds. Anthony with 19 points and 8 assists. So UNLV came up huge here in this regional final. Their finest performance of the NCAA tournament. Jeff Fryer nails down a 3, and it's 21 points for Fryer.
And Brett, you know what's so interesting? Ball State, and the way the tournament was going, actually could have beaten that club at the buzzer.
We're back to that last play of the game. They didn't get off a good shot. They were down by 2.
Remember, McCurdy came out so high on the wing, but the way this tournament's been going, with so many games, 23 now decided by 3 points or less. This game obviously not typical.
Check it. Anthony does not return.
Well, Paul Westhead lived all season by the blowout, and he's going to die by it here this afternoon, apparently. But he's done a great job. And all the Loyola Marymount fans, and I think basketball fans everywhere, have just got to be so proud of what the Lions have accomplished here. When you consider all the pressure that they have been under ever since March 4th.
Oh, they went almost 10 days without playing any basketball games at all, which is a long layoff to go into a tournament like this.
Anthony coming back for the layup. Inside of 3 minutes to go. 1:25 now. The total for UNLV. They break out a 3-on-1.
Park want to finish up strong. He's got his original starting lineup back in the game. Wants them to get that intensity level back and take it on to Denver.
Well, tonight on CBS, it'll be 60 Minutes. Mike Wallace will take a look at a spy for the KGB who received $1 million. That's going to be followed by Murder, She Wrote and the CBS miniseries Common Ground. All that coming up tonight on CBS.
And as the fans can see, something Jerry Tarkanian instituted for this game, put his shooter on the line, took everybody back on defense so they could conserve energy and not have to be involved in an up-and-down battle. The master stroke here. But Jerry got to the college level by coaching in the junior college ranks, as everybody knows. And think of his record in those 7 years. 212 wins, 26 losses.
3 more for Kimble. That's 40 points for Bo Kimble.
Oh, that's his 8th 40-point game of the year.
Foul against UNLV here with 2:19 to go. 125-96, and Scott checking back into the game.
Frank, you documented it so well the other day, but it's not that Bo hasn't been without adversity in his collegiate career with the 2 severe leg injuries that he had.
Another thing about Bo Kimble is how he got his nickname. David Butler, who fouled out after scoring 9 points, goes over to a nice ovation. A lot of Rebel fans here in Oakland. In fact, there were not enough available tickets for all the folks who wanted them, and I imagine we'll have the same crush in Denver for followers of all 4 schools. So here's Bo Kimble, nicknamed after Bo Diddley by his grandmother, who said that as a youngster, Bo got on your nerves, just like Diddley did if you don't like rock and roll. If you were a defender and he lit you up for 40 or 50, he'd get on your nerves a little bit too.
Second free throw also.
Park almost in a practice environment here, wanting his club really sharp to head to Denver. That's why he put these fellas back in as a starting unit. He is now satisfied that they ended this game the way he wants, their mental edge, and he's going to take out the unit in its entirety.
John O'Connell back in, replacing Tom Peabody for UNLV. Number 33, Barry Young. Number 44, James Jones, and number 5, Stacey Augman. Replace Larry Johnson, Stacey Augman. And Ray Anderson at the line.
When we talked about the Duke matchup, what do you think, Georgia Tech?
I think it's going to be a classic. I can't wait to see Kenny Anderson come up against this UNLV defense, and then Dennis Scott out on the wings. He's had such a remarkable year. Stacey Augman undoubtedly will be assigned to him. Anderson will come down against Anthony. I think it's going to be some of the great matchups that we have seen, Billy, this year. And I think on the inside will be the big question for the Rams direct. Lead now to Hunt.
Well, as we saw, starting off with 64 teams, only one #1 seed is going to work their way to Denver.
And that's UNLV. But let's think about it, folks. Think about all the upsets that we've had and all the great moments in this tournament. But then look how the cream always comes to the top at the end. Of those teams that were ranked in the 16 seeds, no one outside that 16 has been invited to the big party. There's 3s and 4s, yes. And Vegas has won 1, and his son is delighted.
Well, I think that Danny, who really is a good student of the game as well, in that family, and still the leading assist man in the history of UNLV basketball. Expected a much tougher contest here today.
The kids from Ball State have got to be saying to themselves, it could have been us. And, you know, I think everybody underrated that team even now in the way they played here.
Well, one of the things that they had that nobody else had that faced Vegas so far were two interior players that could put the hurt on Larry Johnson and David Butler.
Hunt with 30 points and 13 assists.
But, Brent, you know what they also had in that game? A UNLV team that was a little shy from the perimeter. They were not that today.
Out of bounds. Continuing to fire away. Loose ball on the floor. You'd think the game was tied the way those bodies are flying out there with a minute to go. 128-98. I guess that's as indicative as anything that we've seen of the spirit that all 64 schools brought into this NCAA tournament. And you know, there's one big point to make about Bo Kimble as he leaves his final college game and this team. And that point is that not all your dreams come true, but you never quit pursuing them. And these youngsters from this school have really got something to be proud of, as do the Vegas players who are going to the Final Four. We'll bring down the final seconds. And the running Rebs will head to the Final Four for the third time. And there's a couple of the reasons why. Messrs. Johnson and Augman. Out of bounds. It'll be UNLV's ball with 37 seconds to go. And it's hello, Denver.
Well, Brent, many people felt when this season started that UNLV would be the best team in America. I think right now going into the Final Four, they would have to be, if you were going to reseed the Final Four, probably the #1 seed. I didn't think that they played particularly well in the first 3 games in this tournament, not up to their par, but today was as fine a display as they've had on both ends of the floor in a long time.
Well, let's just enjoy the work now of our director, Larry Cavalita, and our fine producer, Bob Dekas, as this one closes out now in Oakland, California. UNLV going to the Final Four.
Jones' second free throw also good.
You know, another interesting thing is to watch how kids celebrate when the game ends, because if there's not a big celebration, it sometimes means that we think there are bigger things ahead.
The foul on number 14, John O'Connell, his second personal. James Jones, 1-1. Jones makes the first. He'll get the bonus as number 23, Jeff Roscoe. And the Loyola Marymount line for Chris Scott.
take on Georgia Tech in the second of the Final Four games next Saturday. Duke and Arkansas will start it off. Our Chevrolet players of the game, you could have selected anyone from UNLV, but we're going to go with Anderson Hutt. He broke out of that slump with 30 points and 13 assists. Bo Kimble, his final game, and what a job. 42 points. So the dream comes to an end, and UNLV now with a Rocky Mountain high heads to Denver in the Final Four. Jim Nance is coming up in just a moment.